Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of What's Driving Token Prices. I'm your host, Katie Talati, Director of Research at Arca. For those joining us for the first time, I'm responsible for identifying and analyzing digital asset and blockchain opportunities for Arca's funds. As part of our research, my team and I examine token prices and the market events that act as catalysts for price change. Based on our research and market events over the past week, here are some notable token price movements and what we think drove these moves. As a reminder, this commentary is not intended to be investment advice, investment research, or an investment recommendation. Please consult your investment professional for your own circumstances. Well, first off, I am losing my voice a bit here, so I will power through, but hopefully all of you can understand me. We've had quite a bit in the macro world this week. The last week's jobs report has been spiking fears of inflation. CPI came in around normal today, but it's still really triggering a lot of fears in the broader stock market. We obviously have the SpaceX IPO on Friday, which people are just getting mad about, and it's completely oversubscribed, according to some Wall Street desks. And then there's Anthropic's latest model, Claude Fable 5, which is just spooking everybody in the crypto industry, particularly because it could open up a lot of DeFi attack vectors. So all those of you out there that are doing things in DeFi, make sure that maybe you just revoke permissions from all of your wallets for the time being if you're not being active on chain. But as always, we're here to talk about the tokens. So I will get started talking about Humanity Protocol. So if you're not familiar with Humanity Protocol, it is a decentralized identity protocol. And this week, it actually suffered a massive exploit, which really drove the token price down, I believe, about 72%. So not great. Not great for them at all. But like I mentioned, they're kind of considered a competitor to WorldCoin, which uses iris scanning technology to verify people. This one uses palm scanning technology. But this exploit that they suffered was confirmed by the protocol's founder. They stated that the private keys, basically, of the Humanity Foundation member were compromised. And once the hackers obtained these private keys, they drained about 17 wallets in total. They minted additional H tokens. So in addition to stealing a ton of millions of dollars worth of tokens, they also minted more into circulation. The tokens were then sold for ETH. And so this theft is still in progress, but users have been advised to stop using the bridge and liquidity pools, all of which have been exploited. This project actually raised about $50 million across multiple funding rounds in 2024 and 2025. Team member, and so, fairly well capitalized project, supposedly. Team member and investor unlocks, though, are expected to start on June 25th with some prompting some speculation regarding the cause of the hack with that timing. As I mentioned at the beginning here, the H token is down 72%. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about Zcash. This one has been on quite of a roller coaster this week. So Zcash, if you're not familiar with it, it's been around for a long time, but it is a privacy-focused blockchain. Last week, and they've been on like a complete tear this year. They are up like 500% or something like that. But they dropped dramatically in price after a 4-year-old vulnerability was revealed in their code base. So basically, that vulnerability or attack vector would allow an attacker to mint an infinite number of Zcash tokens in a shielded privacy pool. So the vulnerability was discovered on May 29th by this security engineer that was hired by Shielded Labs, which is a support organization of the Zcash blockchain. The team then quietly orchestrated and pushed out a patch to fix that vulnerability on June 1st, again, without disclosing to the public. On Friday, though, of this last week, they disclosed this exploit publicly, and the price of the token dropped 40%. So because especially that this exploit had been present since 2022, and due to the private nature of the Zcash blockchain, it's actually not known if any tokens were minted during that time period and have just been in this shielded pool. So people wouldn't know if they minted beyond the original hard capped amount on the Zcash blockchain. So the community panicked, which was another reason the price of the token dropped so much, but it ended up leading to the Zcash developers proposing a new network upgrade called Ironwood. So Ironwood is not scheduled for release, it's scheduled for release in July, and it's going to require essentially all the token holders to migrate their tokens to this new privacy pool. Tokens that were created via that exploit won't be able to migrate, which should help protect against the counterfeit tokens. Zcash has recovered some, but it is still down 29% for the week. All right, last up, we're going to talk about Morpho. Yesterday, the decentralized lending protocol Morpho announced that they've raised a $175 million funding round. So the round was led by A16Z Crypto, Paradigm, and Ribbit Capital, and this is Morpho's fourth round of funding. So they've long stated that they would only have their Morpho token as the asset within the center of the universe. Therefore, it was the Morpho token that investors purchased. Supposedly at varying valuations, but kind of according to reports from the team, it was around a $2 billion valuation, which is around what the token trades at right now. So the massive raise will supposedly be used to deepen technical and commercial integrations while continuing to develop and strengthen their existing business. They really stated though they're trying to aim to underpin this new on-chain credit system that's developing before us, and not necessarily replace like banks and other existing lenders. So a lot of this, this is going to help them with some of the integration work with some of bringing those traditional players on chain. They also recently released a white paper, in which they detailed a fixed credit system, Morpho Midnight, which is currently under development. So great for Morpho. Notably, though, although their token is the center of their capital stack, so to speak, the protocol actually doesn't collect revenue. They do collect fees, but those are all given back to curators, vault managers, people who work in the ecosystem. And the token's really only used for governance. Morpho has about $12 billion though in deposits, and it is the second largest lender after Aave. We'll see where they go. They're up 7.9% for the week, bucking the overall weak market. All right, guys, that's all I have time for you this week. I hope you enjoyed our insights. Tune in here again next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific to hear what's driving token prices.